You said it perfectly. Because many steps of faith will not be applauded until that faith step becomes sight.
Exactly.
So, think about Abraham.
Woo.
God just says to him,
Go.
Yeah, listen, I want to go to a country. Get out of your father and mother's house.
Come on.
Leave everything
Come
you know.
on.
Go to a land I'm going to show you. Yeah. And what does that sound like to Abraham? It's just like, yo, man, Abraham, where you going?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just going.
How long you going to be there? I don't know. Which way you going? I don't know. Well, how do you even know when you get there? God is going to tell me. You see what I'm saying? That looks so crazy.
It looks wild.
It
looks wild.
Leave your leave your kindred. Leave everything you know that is familiar and known to you. That looks big time insanity. Yeah. But it's not until those things materialize that his family is going to see that and say, "Oh man, that's what it was."
And didn't God give the same message to the dad?
To the dad, sure did.
He
didn't go.
Paused.
He stopped.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So Abraham essentially finished what dad started.
Life can be fast-paced, strenuous, and flat-out overwhelming. Life transitions and taboo topics can make it hard to catch your breath. Welcome to Breathe, a podcast that enables you to slow down, get your bearings, and engage in real conversations where no topic is off limits. Breathe is presented by Breath of Life, hosted by David Person and speaker-director Pastor Deblier Snell.
Here we are once again.
Boom.
It's the Breathe Podcast.
Hey,
Podcast.
we in the house.
Pastors Snell, Pastor Nugent, and
Elder Person.
Elder person.
some people call me that.
Do they?
Elder person?
Yeah, I think it's the gray.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Gray, and they just automatically default. I either get OG, Unc.
Unc is a new one.
Unc is a good. That's good.
Or-
You want to be Unc.
or
You want to be
Elder.
Unc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I get.
Yeah. Love that.
I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it.
Good.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. So welcome.
Welcome.
We're glad to have you with us once again. Thanks for all of your comments, and and again, I always talk about this. People always come up to me. Yeah. Especially at church. They come up, but sometimes even not at church.
Yeah.
Come up to me and say, I love that podcast you all do.
Man, yeah.
So we praise the Lord.
We praise God.
Man. It's a great community that's forming around it, and people share, and we just want to just be able to provide insight. We don't claim to be the three wise men or have all the answers. We just want to make a contribution to the conversations that are being had in culture.
Yeah. So good. So good.
Yeah, and I love that. I think God is blessing this effort.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So today we are still in the mode of looking at the ingredients of decision.
We're stirring. I see your bag over there.
We're stirring.
That's right. Stirring the pot. Looking at the ingredients.
Let them cook. Let them cook.
Let them cook. Yeah. That's right. Let them cook.
My kids are laughing at me right now. I can tell. They are laughing at me right now.
Dad.
Why did you say that?
Well, that's all right. This is our podcast.
Come on.
That's right.
Come on.
We can use slang.
That's right.
No matter how dated it
may be.
Yeah. That's all right. It's our podcast.
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
We're good. So today, we're doing our homework.
Doing our homework. I like
the
that.
idea of approaching decisions first by doing some research.
Yeah.
Doing some homework. Homework is a dirty word, at least, or it can be a dirty word. But it's a necessary thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. I think sometimes, and I think one of the reasons I wanted to have the dialogue is that I think sometimes we tend to divorce homework or research from the process of a spiritual man or woman. I think there's some who feel like we only come to conclusions in the prayer closet. When the truth is, I think that there is a component of healthy, even godly decision-making that requires for us to be informed. Like even if I had to kind of think of a verse, like when Jesus says, listen, no man just runs out and buys material to build a house without first counting the cost. Yeah. There needs to be an awareness of what this process is going to look like, what it's going to draw from you, what is going to be required. Because, I don't know if you've ever been around, especially like really country, rural parts of town. like what you'll see is just a lot of unfinished houses. People that started them but could not finish them, or they had to have somebody else sell it and somebody else finish them. But there was just probably, just a deficit of just homework being done on what it takes to actually get it across the line and get all the permits and get all the stuff, done by the city. There's a cost that comes with not doing adequate research.
The homework is homework takes on so many different. Some of it is what you need to go and do, but then sometimes it's just a requisite season that you might be in. I heard Myron Golden talk about the success he's experiencing in this current season, but he said I've been doing Bible studies at Denny's with a group about 10 for 4 years, 5 years before we ever turned the camera on.
Wow!
And so that I would consider homework.
Right.
You're building a muscle. You're developing a rhythm so that when God is ready to shine a floodlight on you, you have been prepared. That's homework.
Yeah.
That's homework. There's a requisite. I think that homework could be fun too. I mean, you can look at it from a perspective of like, I get to hone this craft or do this thing or look into what it would take to make this decision in the best way, or however you approach it. But your perspective on what homework is, and looking at it from the standpoint of I get to do this, it can shift your thinking.
Sure.
Sometimes we were like, man, I got to go through all this, but I honestly believe, man, you've been chosen. So do that homework with joy, and I think it'll change your outcome as well.
Yeah. In our last episode, we talked about taking your time.
Yeah.
Right? So part of taking your time
that's good.
allows
That
for
is.
the
That's
doing
really
the
good.
homework,
That's
right?
really good.
Doing the research. That's another reason to take your time.
Yeah.
110%. Whereas, taking your time is not just, all right, let me just go sit in the corner and wait, and wait on the Lord, as they say. Waiting on the Lord in some ways, there is an active component. And a part of it is just doing, the requisite homework or, gaining the data that you need. Because I guess, one of the ingredients of a good decision is you have to make informed decisions.
Yes.
Like every decision should not be an emotional decision.
Yeah.
It ought not be driven by just sentiment, feeling, infatuation, lust, desire.
Mercy.
There is no decision that's just intellectual in a vacuum or just spiritual in a vacuum. There is a blend where, man, spiritually, I sense God's leading. Intellectually, man, I am informed, and there is kind of a corresponding kind of emotion that affirms, all right, I'm moving in the right direction. Whereas we tend to try to make it seem like, oh, that was just a emotional decision, or that was just, and no, that's actually not how any of us make decisions.
Mercy.
They
It's a
all
combination.
are hybrid. Now, they can be imbalanced. It can be too much emotion or just too much this. But I think it needs to be a great blend. But I think a component of any good decision, it is informed. So whether you're about to step out and buy a house, you should probably get a sense of, like, how much do houses cost in that neighborhood? Like, it's not just, do I like it? You know what I'm saying? Are the finishes great? Like, what does resale tend to look like in this area? Or, what is it like if I have to rent this house one day? So on and so. What are property taxes like in Madison versus Alabama versus Harvest, Alabama? That's for those who are outside of Huntsville. Or man, there's this this car. What does the Consumer Report suggest? About this particular car. Like, listen, man, when I was in I got my first car out of college, man. I got my first job, got hired by South Central Conference. It's funny, I told a car story in the last thing. But man, I go to the car lot, man, I find this Mazda 626, man.
Oh,
96 Mazda 626.
Oh,
should have known, it had too many sixes in it. 96 626. Yeah, it had 3 sixes. That should have been my side right there.
Right there.
But it's funny, had I just, and it was, the car, it's funny, I wound up having a car for 10 years and made the most of the investment. But had I done my research, I would have known that they had this thing where there is some cylinder in the engine that's a little thinner than it should be. So it causes transmissions to go out really easily. So I wound up replacing that transmission in that car, getting a new one once, rebuilding it twice in the course of the 11 years.
Okay.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? But, maybe I could have avoided that if I had just done some research that would have said, this particular model tends to have transmission issues. Now, it may not have been a problem because I bought it in Florida, but where I was living at the time in Mississippi and Alabama, full of hills and that's where they tend to struggle or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I just think that information, man, it's and Hosea said, God said, my people, you're never destroyed by knowing. But he says you can be destroyed by a lack of knowing or a lack of knowledge. Yeah.
So homework. I love because if you're looking back at the other ingredients that we've talked about in terms of, so the one ingredient you talked about was taking time. Homework is what you do in that time that you're taking. But one of the other things that homework can be is seeking counsel.
Yeah.
Which is our first one, right? And so seeking counsel, based on what you just talked about, and seeking counsel can be just looking it up.
Yep.
Or getting into mentorship, chatting with folks who have gone before you. Some of those questions you talked about with buying a house, man.
Yeah.
That's just, that's context. Those who have gone before you will know those are some questions you need to ask. But if you're getting your first one, you want to get into some groups, you want to get into some spaces, that's what homework will look like.
Yeah.
And it'll save you.
But it's funny though. There's this weird thing where you ever heard the term ignorance is bliss?
Oh yeah.
And I think it is for a short time.
For a short time.
But there times
as bliss usually is.
Right. Yeah. Just sometimes we avoid knowing because we just don't want to know the answer.
Mercy.
Like we have decided this is what I want, and so I don't want anything that may deter me or require me to have to move in a different direction.
Mercy.
It's so funny because like I didn't want to know this, right? But it has changed the way I do some things a little bit different. So I think I've shared in the podcast. I love Cheesecake Factory. I'm all the way in.
Come
right?
on,
Yeah.
let's go.
So
I've seen you coming.
you've
out
seen
of
me
the
come out of
Cheesecake
Cheesecake
Factory.
Factory, man. That's my spot.
Yeah.
But I think probably in the last 5 or 6 years, they have started putting the calorie count on all the meals. And I was just like, I told my wife, I was like, I did not want to know that this one slice of cheesecake is 1,700 calories. I was like, that's the whole calorie count for almost the whole day, right?
That's crazy.
But see, then it kind of allows you to at least say, all right, you can say, all right, I'm just going to do it anyway. Or at least, but you at least know, okay, if I do this, all right, well, I got to cut it short over here today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or this is going to be my one meal for the day.
Right.
So, like, the information is not bad. It just kind of, well, no, it is bad.
It is.
You probably shouldn't be eating this, right? But at least you know how you need to move in the context
That homework.
of
That's
the
homework.
whole day, or even how frequently I go there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That has changed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still consistent, but it's not like it was.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you could only eat, so many meals that are 3,000 calories.
that.
Right? So and man, I'm killing somebody's spirit right now. So I can see David's energy on the decline on the other side.
1,700.
Man.
I don't do desserts there for another reason because I'm vegan and all their cheesecake is dairy. And that's probably a blessing for me. Because otherwise I'd be digging in. But at least it'll help you, like you said, make alternate choices somewhere else. Like maybe something I do at Cheesecake Factory, since we're on the topic.
Yeah.
When I get that Impossible Burger, I don't eat the bread.
Yeah.
I just tell
that's
them,
what my wife does.
Just
Lettuce.
give me the lettuce and the tomatoes, and I'll take the Impossible Burger, and that's it. I don't eat the bread.
Yeah.
No,
That's how my wife does.
listen, and that came from doing your homework.
Doing your homework.
Came from knowing.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good. I think homework denotes preparation. And being prepared, bringing yourself prepared, is always better. It's always better. Doesn't matter what you're showing up to.
Yeah.
Right? Being prepared is always better.
So how do we balance the idea of prayer and that the impressions or the messages we get from God when we are in prayer or after we've concluded prayer with our own research, the need to do our own research?
Yeah, so, because remember we were talking about at the beginning how some feel like it's either or. But again, and we talked about this in a previous episode, it's both and.
both and.
So if I could maybe create or not even create, but reference something that maybe could help somebody in that regard.
Sure.
So you remember when, both Moses and Joshua did it. When Moses, they came upon the promised land, what God actually told them to do was go send some spies to do reconnaissance work. Let them spy out the land and bring back a report. Now, the problem with Moses and that generation is that the report was not mingled with faith, so to speak.
Mercy.
Right,
and they panicked the people.
Right.
But even Joshua, listen, they know the reason we are here is to take the land.
Yeah.
The Lord has already told them what to do. But Joshua still sent out spies so that they know, all right, this is where they're stationed. All right, this is where the garrisons are. This is where the strongholds are. Because what it did was it informed their plan of attack. And so I think that, many times we can find out from God, man, what we are supposed to be doing, the direction we're supposed to be heading in. But I think that, the homework portion gives us then that tactical advantage on how we approach it, how we attack it. You still need to be informed. And then sometimes what the homework does is many ways it can be the thing that buttresses your confidence in God. It confirms it.
That's good.
So when they came back in Joshua's time, and you remember they met Rahab, and they came back from Rahab, was like, yo, Joshua. They already scared.
Yeah.
Rahab told us they're shook.
From the first.
There's no fight in them. You know what I'm
Mercy.
saying? So what it did was it confirmed, and it bolstered the faith
That's
of them
good.
as they get ready to go marching around the walls of Jericho. So there was that revelation portion that came from God, but then they did tactical reconnaissance work that the leader of any army would do.
So, what this makes me think about, brothers, is that in our journey, in our Christian journey, there is the temptation to just sort of just say, I'm just going to wait on the Lord, I'm just going to pray, and I'm going to just, whatever comes out of that, that's what I'll do, But I believe that God, and I think this conversation is indicative of what I'm saying, that God gives us a responsibility and also the ability to use our own brains to make decisions and to be a participant. I don't think God designed it where we were just supposed to just sort of, kind of wait for some, some burning bush every time.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that there aren't situations where maybe that may be the case.
Right, yeah.
A divine impression.
Yeah.
And I've certainly experienced that.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
But I also think that we are supposed to be partnering with God in this process.
But honestly, though, listen, man, and there are going to be people who are going to feel a certain way about it. But that portion of the body that just prays about it and goes and sits in the corner, that's just a portion of the body that's never going. They're not going to do anything, even if God says does it. Even if God says do it.
Yeah.
In other words, my spiritual inactivity.
There it is
My way of sanctifying my disobedience or unwillingness to do what God is saying to do.
Okay.
Like, listen,
exactly.
Exodus 14. Listen, Pharaoh is behind them.
Yeah.
Red Sea is in front of them.
Yeah.
They begin crying out to Moses. Moses begins crying out to God. You know what God told them? He's just like, yo, what y'all crying out to me for? That was literally what God said. He's like, why? What you crying out to me for?
Right.
Go tell the people to go forward. This ain't time for that.
Yeah.
It's time for you to move forward. I brought you out of the land of Egypt.
Mercy.
And essentially, their mentality was, we should go back. You know what I'm saying? So, now they're going to be praying, you know what I'm saying, to kind of sanctify, this hesitance, you know what I'm saying, that is paralyzing them. And God is saying, no, I see through all that. No, the time to pray was before you left Egypt.
Yeah.
That was the time. I spoke then. Now you need to be moving now. Because, there are some who, man, my religious, I wouldn't even say spiritual hesitance. My religious hesitance is kind of how I justify not wanting to do what I really know I should be doing.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of that flows out of, David, it's fearfulness.
Yes, yes.
It is disobedience, or just, man, I don't really like where God is leading me, so let me pray about it.
Right.
You know
Kind
what I'm
of a
saying?
Jonah kind of situation.
It is exactly what it is. You know,
There's a component of manipulation in there too.
It is.
You know,
Yep.
yeah, because I mean, you want to be seen a certain way,
right?
Okay.
Without having to take any risk,
Okay.
without having to exercise any faith.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because exercising faith may have you looking kind of dumb to some folks.
Yep.
Right.
Even if God's asking you to do something that you've never done before, and you just don't feel I don't want them to see me that way,
Yeah.
and that can be paralyzing.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so you manipulate the situation
Yeah.
to make it seem like, I'm just trying to be, I'm waiting on the Lord. I'm waiting on the Lord. Yeah.
And because the thing about you said it perfectly. Because many steps of faith will not be applauded until that faith step becomes sight.
Exactly.
So, think about Abraham.
Woo.
God just says to him,
Go.
"Yeah, listen, I want to go to a country. Get out of your father and mother's house.
Come on.
Leave everything
Come
you know.
on.
Go to a land I'm going to show you." And what does that sound like to Abraham? It's just like, "Yo, man, Abraham, where you going?"
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just going.
How long you gonna be there? I don't know. Which way you going? I don't know. Well, how do you even know when you get there? God is gonna tell me. You see what I'm saying? That looks so crazy.
It looks wild.
Like, I mean,
it looks wild.
Leave your leave your kindred. Leave everything you know that is familiar and known to you. I mean, that looks big time insanity.
Yeah.
But it's not until those things materialize that his family is going to see that and say, "Oh man, that's what it was."
And didn't God give the same message to the dad?
To the dad, sure
And
did.
he
Yep.
let you,
and he didn't go.
Paused.
He stopped. Yep.
Yeah.
So Abraham essentially finished what dad started.
I forgot about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I also was thinking about Noah. He so you're building an ark for
we've never
over
seen
a
that.
century, and people are like, "Yo, man, what are you doing?
are you
Right.
doing?
Yeah.
What is that?
A boat.
What are you talking about? Rain? What?
Rain.
What is that?
Yeah.
The whole thing. So faith, the faith journey
Come
can
on.
sometimes be counterintuitive to
Counterintuitive.
human logic, right?
Yeah. Which will make me say, well, let me just go back and let me just go pray about it. Let me just go sit down. So, I think there's a time to go back to the prayer closet if you are unclear or you have not received a revelation or a word from God. But I think the group I'm pointing to are those that God has spoken.
He has spoken.
But I just don't like what he's saying. And I'm going to kind of use that to kind of justify an inactivity that works against what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mercy. That's homework. That's homework for sure.
Yeah, it's homework. Yeah.
And I think, and I wonder if part of the homework also needs to be coming to a clearer understanding of how we determine what is God's voice and what is our own perhaps fear or ego or whatever human motivations.
To differentiate.
Yeah, to differentiate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good question.
Well, that actually kind of goes back to our previous episode about taking your time.
Okay.
Because I think time helps you to distinguish not just what other people's motives are. Over the course of time, what becomes revealed is what your own motives are.
Okay.
Because, I do think it's important that, we weigh motives, especially with certain spiritual decisions or certain initiatives generally, because, God doesn't just judge us on the level of behaviors, deeds. He's like, man, I'm the Lord who weighs the heart.
Yeah.
I measure the reins. I see what's tugging you or pulling you in one direction or the other. Because I think, and the reason I think you need to know your own motives, because your own motives actually will reveal how blessed what you're doing can actually become. So that, man, if I'm just doing this, man, just for me, my I think it kind of speaks to how much favor may or may not attend that. But I know, man, I'm taking this scary step, but I'm convinced that this is God driving me in this direction. But I do know that if I'm obedient and I align myself with His will, the blessings of God are going to accompany this, even though it may be rejected or mocked or ridiculed by other people.
Yeah, for sure. I there's when you think about the differentiating between what is me, what is God, time definitely helps. Seeing the experience of others also helps, so that counts a piece in there as well. But then doing some journaling and seeing how God has led in the past, and how does that compare to the current situation. And then just being able to wait on God.
Yeah.
I think there is a component of being able to sit still and recognize there is two forks. I don't necessarily have to decide to take a step today.
Yeah.
I can pause right where I'm at and really gain some clarity on terms of what's going on next. That is a part of the homework. But I would also give you caution to say, let's put a time limit on it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to give myself a week.
Right.
Or whatever it might be. Because homework is not eternal.
Right.
Homework, you should be able to complete the homework.
Right.
And when the homework is completed, you come to a decision.
Yeah. And I think
point.
the other thing that helps you with motives is I just think you need to consistently digest Scripture.
Yeah, that's
Because
good.
remember, the Bible says His word is alive and active, and it is sharper than a double-edged sword, even able to slice asunder between the thoughts, the intents, and the motives of the heart. And so there's just something about, a steady diet of the word that kind of says, you know what, man, I'm tripping right now. You know what I'm saying? Ego is getting the best of me at this moment.
I'm
Or
over here.
pride is getting the
Right,
best of me at the moment. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or an unwillingness to apologize is what's driving this behavior right now. And that's going to inform how much that decision is or is not going to be blessed or covered by the Most High. So you need the word kind of to serve as the filter, because you can't be your own filter.
Right.
No.
Like you have to kind of look at it through the lens of Scripture, which, man, I ain't gonna lie, it doesn't change. It's not afraid to disagree with you. I mean, it's gonna bring you back in harmony with where God is, where God's design is.
Yeah. So we were talking today about doing your homework.
Doing the homework.
And that's an important part of the decision-making process.
Yeah.
It may be a little scary or intimidating or frustrating, but it's
Frustrating.
necessary.
Yeah.
But it's necessary. So we hope you'll take that to heart. On the next episode of Breathe, we're going to be talking about overthinking your decision. That's another part of this whole examination of the ingredients of decision-making. How not to overthink your decisions. I
love that.
We'll probably get into a little bit of even why that happens, but that's next time. Don't forget, we want to hear from you, in terms of what you want us to tackle, what subjects you want to suggest, any comments you have. Put them in the comments underneath if you're listening on or watching on YouTube, or you can email us if you're listening.
That's right.
One of the audio platforms, and we are glad that you're doing that. And again, we know that this decision-making examination of decision-making may poke at some.
It may.
Some sore points.
Yeah.
In life,
Get
some
prickly.
points.
Yeah.
But it's a healthy kind of thing. It's a pain that's hopefully alerting you to some changes you need to make, some adjustments you need to make. And you can do it. I know it may be a little challenging, but you can do it, especially if you stop, pray, and breathe.
Breathe is produced by David Person for Breath of Life. Executive producer is Debliere Snell, and sound engineer is Kirk Nugent. Audio episodes of Breathe can be found on Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcast platforms. For video episodes and extra content, check out the Breath of Life YouTube channel. Breath of Life is faith-based content, resources, and programs from a contemporary urban perspective for those looking for hope and guidance. We believe that every breath we take is a testimony that God is consistent, that He loves us, and has a plan for our lives.